This is a pre-trip at 775. We're going to start by popping up that hood and checking all of our fluids. You come in here to the driver's side door. Down by the floor of your foot, you're going to see a lever. Pull that towards you, and you'll hear the hood pop open. If you come around to the front and kind of lift it up from the bottom of the grill, you're going to see a lever in there. You push that to the right, and then the hood comes up. If you look up on the top to the left of the latch, you're going to see that the oil takes 5W20, about 7 quarts if it's empty, and this has a sealed transmission, so you will not find a dipstick for it. Starting left to right, you're going to see your washer fluid. Take a peek in there. If you don't see any fluid in there, that means it's empty, and you got to top it off. Check your battery terminals, make sure they're tight and not corroded. If they're corroded, you can just take a wire brush and brush it off. Make sure your fuse box cover's on there. This controls a lot of what your truck does. If anything in there gets corroded, you're going to have problems running and driving your vehicle. Make sure your airbox container is tight and secure. That's important. This is your coolant reservoir. Make sure it's in between max and min. It's on this side, I believe. Oh, it's right there on the side. That rating right there says max and min. It's important that's always in the right range, because if it's not, it'll overheat, and too much might cause it to come out the top because it is pressurized. Right behind it is your brake fluid reservoir. Once again, make sure it's in between max and min. If you look on the top of the motor, you're going to see the oil cap. That's how you fill it, and that yellow ring next to it is how you check your oil. So I'm going to see if I can set you down for a second so we can check the oil. Well, come on. Okay, there's no place I can set you down, so I guess I'm just gonna have to kind of hold it. I can barely reach. Alright, so if you can't get this popped off, you can just kind of turn it. But this you're going to check when the vehicle is off and cold, which means you haven't started it yet. So you're going to pull it out. Make sure you wipe it off. I'll wipe it off. Like so. Then you're going to stick it back in. Like that. Push it down in until it's flush. Like that. Take it back out. And now you're looking for your oil level. So on the other side, you're going to see some writing and some puncture holes and some hash marks. Right in the middle of those two holes is where you want your oil level to be. This one's a little bit messier because I just ran this and I just brought it inside. But when you check it, make sure it's in between here. Preferably up here more. That's a good idea. But you just don't want it anything below that hole. If you do, you have to top it off. So I'm going to wipe this off real quick. And then we're going to stick it back in the hole. To save me a little bit of time, I'm going to check one set of the fronts and one set of the backs, because when you do this, you're going to do all four. On here should be a posted sticker of what your PSI rating is. That's going to have to get replaced this winter. But if it's still not there, you can always look on the side of the tire. It'll tell you the PSI range it needs to be in. When you do your tires, make sure there's nothing in the way of your tire as it's spinning. Check your treads. You can stick your fingertip in there and it comes about halfway up. That's good. Hubcaps are a little harder to check on this because of the hubcap. Or not the hubcap. The lug nuts are harder to check because of the hubcap. Check your tires. Make sure they're hard. Check your rotor. Make sure you don't see any waviness in it. If you do, you might have to replace it, and you'll also need new brake pads with it. In here, you're going to see a spring. That's part of your suspension. Make sure it's not cracked or damaged. And I think inside of that, or around it, I guess this thing doesn't have a shock. I think the shock is the spring. So make sure you don't see any oil or anything weird coming on with that. Check all your tie rods, your sway bar, or anything like that. Make sure they're all tight. And check for your axle seal leaks by looking behind the tire at the bottom part in between the rim and the ground. Make sure you don't see any oil coming down. Since we're passing the gas cap, this takes gas. Don't put diesel. It doesn't have a gas cap, so you don't gotta worry about being, on and tethered and tight and all that good stuff. So you're good there. Same kind of concept as the front. Kick your tires, make sure they're hard. Lug nuts are a little harder to check because of the hubcap. Check your rotors. Make sure you don't see anything wavy or weird about it. You have leaf springs in the back. Make sure you don't see anything cracked or damaged. There's your shock right there. Make sure you don't see any oil coming down the bottom part of that. And then once again, you're checking for axle seal leaks at the bottom of the tire. Right about there somewhere. In-cab stuff. Immediately as you open your door, the weight sticker got and taken off of this, so that's gonna have to get replaced. I don't know how much this thing weighs, but it's probably less than 10,000 pounds. Behind your driver's seat, you'll find your triangles and your fire extinguisher. Make sure that yellow needle is in the green. That tells you this thing's ready to go, and make sure that pin is in the handle. That prevents it from discharging on you. Before I even sit down, I'm going to check my seatbelt. Make sure that latches. Check your doors. Make sure they latch. We're going to go through in-cab stuff. Your keys should never be left in the vehicle. At the end of your day, try to lock your keys up in that blue job box that's back there. That prevents you from locking your keys in the truck when you're not in it. That's not good. So I'm going to stick the key in the ignition. I'm going to turn accessories on so I can check everything I need to. Make sure nothing's broken, damaged, or cracked. Check your gauges. Make sure they all seem to be working properly. If you need to adjust your mirrors, you can with this little thing right here. You can turn it, and that'll set what you want to do with your mirrors. So feel free to adjust them so you can see out of them. Right here is your parking lights and headlights. I'm going to turn those on headlights so we can check all of our markers. On the left joystick here, if you turn it, that controls your windshield wash or windshield wipers. And if you push this in, that controls your washer fluid. Check your horn. Oh, maybe it's electric. Let me start it real quick. Nope, my horn doesn't work. Cool. Your airboard power is on here. Oh, it's electric. So this controls your airboard coming up or down. Right now it's got a ratchet strap on it, so I'm assuming that's broken. On here, you'll find your defrost settings. This is supposed to be the on-off symbol. So if you turn that on, just make sure your blower motor works, your heat and AC works. Your four-ways are located up here on the dash. And your beacon and aeroboard power switch is down here. You'll see it better in person. It's a little blurry right there. But it says beacon and aero. Down here, closer to the floor, is your CB radio. If you turn this dial, it'll turn, actually, I believe if you push it instead. Yeah, so if you push it in, that turns it on and off. And you should be able to change the channel with these. We use channel 2. and right here is your arrow board controls. We like to use day because we're working during the day, and I like to turn it to double arrow so I can see if all of my lights work. When you're doing this out in the field, make sure you cycle through the whole thing to make sure it comes on what you want it to come on. And you're going to do the same thing for brake and reverse. Since this is a shadow vehicle, you'll probably have another person to help you do brake and reverse lights. So, and we'll check some of our lights. I'll show you where everything is. So immediately, I see some turn signals here. You've got our low beams on and our marker light. I believe that's a light. I don't think that's a reflector. We'll know on the other side. Once again, our turn signal and our headlight. And that's a marker light as well. So that means the other side is out. Up here you can see our arrow board. I didn't flip it up because it's got a ratchet strap on it, but you can see all of our lights are working except for that one right there. We have a beacon on this side and one on the other side. You can't really see it from this angle. We've got our brake lights in 4 ways. This bulb in the middle will be your reverse light. And the same thing on this side. Down here should be your license plate light. This one is out, so you'll have to get that replaced. And then your beacon on this side. So we're going to turn 4 ways off, and our arrow board off, and our beacons off. We're going to check high beam. And your high beams, you just pull this towards you, and it'll click into place. That's how you turn it on and off. And I'm going to throw in a turn signal. So, turn signal on the mirror, turn signal on the back, turn signal on the front. We'll throw in the other side. We got a turn signal there. This one's not working, which is fine. I'm sure that's expensive. We're probably not going to replace it. And then you got this one right here. Once again, brake and reverse, you're going to use another person for. It's a little bit easier that way and a lot safer. Down here, next to your left foot, is your parking brake. You'll know that's engaged if you push this down. That brake light comes on right there. When you test that, make sure you're in the vehicle. Put your foot on the brake. Put it into park or into drive or reverse. It's a good idea to check your reverse brake as well. It's going to yell at you a bunch saying that it's on. Then when you slowly let your foot off the brake, you're looking for the vehicle to move. If the vehicle moves like it is, that means your parking brake doesn't work. If it doesn't move, that means it's working. So we're going to leave our foot on the normal brake, put it back into park, then to release your parking brake, you just pull this lever up. You might have to help it a little bit, and that foot pedal comes back up. So we'll check our list. We went through all the in-cab stuff. All of this seems to be good except for the horn. The horn is not working. All of our seat belts, fire extinguisher, all that stuff. We checked all of our underhood stuff. There is no transmission dipstick. All of our steering linkage. So your steering linkage should be a bar that runs right there. This bar right here. You're going to wiggle that around and see if it moves. If it moves a lot, that means it's no good and you got to replace it. If it doesn't move, great. You can see it a little bit better from this side. So that would be that bar right there I'm talking about. So under hood, we're all good. You're listening for exhaust system and leaks, stuff like that, while the vehicle is running. This thing's running right now. It's pretty quiet, so I'm going to say there's no exhaust leaks. Around the vehicle, we did fuel tank, doors. This thing doesn't have mud flaps. We checked our brake components. Rear suspension, no unusual sounds, and all of that stuff is good. So for this truck, you just need a normal driver's license. Make sure you have your medical card with you at all times. Your proper PPE for this, I'm assuming it is boots, steel-toed boots, work boots, pants, shirt, high-vis vest, all that good stuff, and whatever else your applicator may say you need. This truck normally doesn't come with a toolbox. It just has a job box. If you're shadowing, you'll have a toolbox with the spray truck. Make sure you get a good night's sleep. Your brakes are fine. They're already adjusted. It's a newer vehicle. And then right here is where you put the weight. This thing doesn't have a sticker on it. I'm assuming it's under 10,000 pounds, so you might have to look it up. And your vehicle height is located right there on the dash at 9'4". That's where you put that. Here is where you list any deficiencies or what's wrong with the truck if you have any lights out. And you're going to sign your life away. And I hope you have a good day.